I want to word this? Because I want to word it properly, because I don't want to slam anybody at this point. And I'm notorious for slamming 25-year-olds, so I'm trying to cut down on that. I love those 25-year-olds. But I think, okay, so this is a random topic. I'm just going to bring it up because it sort of fits with what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
And that is, I noticed this a lot, like way too much. And I was sitting in a wine bar. As a matter of fact, it was a couple of weeks ago. I was sitting in a wine bar at Tavali Square, which is like this high-end mall on the other side of town, right? On the rich side of town. And I was over there for an event, and I was in this wine bar, and walking across the windows right in front of me was this beautiful young woman with her cell phone, right? At this angle, right? And she was doing this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I see that all the time.
What the fuck?
It's so fucking annoying. And especially like in Times Square or here for Grand Central Station.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable the number of people with selfie sticks or they're totally dressed up and someone's film. It's like, it's just so over the top. Yeah.
And I'm just like, and I'm like, part of me's like, stop judging, right? Stop judging. She's probably making 6 figures a year, just like, and the hair, and there's always like each strand of hair has to be in the exact right. I'm like, it's like ongoing. And then there's a selfie photo. And then it's just like, but that's what we're raising now. That's it. That's how we're making our money, which frightens me because I realize I'm happy. It took me a while, but I'm happy that there's these people that are making this money off of, TikTok, and it's great.
But on the
more power
side,
to them.
Are they
what
happy?
Are you gonna? Yeah, and even more frightening is that is without a doubt a temporary situation. What is your long-range plan? Right? Like, come up with a better plan, because this gonna fade. There's gonna be someone else that's behind you baking brownies in the nude.
Really funny, like if say you do something like you have some knack or like your recipes or cooking or
I'd like to think, I mean, I could be wrong because I've been wrong before, which, by the way, we're going to start making t-shirts, and that's going to be our first one. We've been wrong before. I'd like to think it's why I'm not willing to give this up, even if only people that ever watch it are your friends. Is because I still want to believe that substance will win out in the end. I believe that 25-year-olds will inevitably want substance.
Yeah, that's a really interesting topic. I don't know that I agree with that. I actually think increasingly we've just gotten worse. Like, I think the Kardashians and shows like that, not just them, clearly I can't just blame them, but like this move towards social media and Insta and Facebook and I feel like if anything, people are putting more value. I feel like we were starting to go the other direction and putting more value in STEM and this and your job and not that your job should define you, but just having more substance and holding conversations and intellect. And, just even in the last 40 years, I mean, and you hear this on the Republican side a lot, which is one reason they drive me nuts is, the liberal elites and their educations, even though ironically, most of those people did go to liberal elite schools like Yale. I mean, like Ted Cruz, it's like, or Ron DeSantis, they both went to like Yale and Harvard. It's like, what are you talking about? But there's this anti-intellect and I feel like we're going in the complete opposite direction. You have more people getting plastic surgeries, more people, I don't know. I wish that was true, but this is really funny. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday and he's our age. and he's
We
working.
are not the same age, Freedom. Our age, my age, or our age, your age?
In between, actually. He's
Okay.
in between. And he was telling me how he's working with a millennial, and he's like, millennials drive me crazy. And I'm like, why? And he's like, they just drive me nuts because everything was handed to them. He's like, I even look at my brother's kids and he wants them at the best schools and having all the extracurricular activities and doing everything right, and like the participation award. And he's like, you can't criticize or be critical because they like just take it to heart instead of just being hard workers or acknowledging that they don't know something and they have to be right about everything. I thought it was so interesting because I feel like what would be wonderful, I feel like the generations can learn from each other, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm actually really excited about Gen Z. Like Gen Z to me, I think you're going to, and maybe that's what you're talking about. Or I feel, actually, no, we're not talking about the same things. I'm hearing, maybe what I heard was they have more substance.
No, I said, I hope substance will win out.
I see, and I didn't agree. And now that I'm talking and I'm just feel like I'm rambling at this point, I'm coming back and I'm going to say I was wrong, because I do think with Gen Z, the activist, right? Like the woman, oh my God, I can't think of her name, who's coming out of Texas. Matt Gaetz called her like a fat pig or something. I don't remember verbatim what he said, but he said something really derogatory, like, the women who were fighting for Roe v. Wade, or women that aren't getting pregnant anyways, just something horrific. Juliana something, her name's Juliana something.
Okay.
And she is such a badass. Like, she is just a fucking badass. And she took it and ran with it and raised $2 million, that's all going towards like to help women who with reproductive health care. And I was just like, fuck yeah. And then you see like the David Hoggs of the world who are really fighting for gun reform. So like those people give me a lot of like hope, but I feel like they're on the pendulum's almost completely on the other side, where then you have this other group that is all just about the selfie sticks, and like there's almost like no.
It is. There's not, but there's never a line in the middle. I feel like the middle is just not a great place. It's probably where we should be. Like, I'm like, I'm okay with, again, I'm okay with people making money off of selfie stick stuff.
Yeah,
Like, I
same.
wouldn't, I wasn't okay. I was judgmental of it initially. And now I'm like, look, shut up, right? Just calm down, shut up, let it happen. Like, it is what it is. I'm never going to be in that camp, right? It's not, and it's not because I'm better than them. It's because I couldn't make money off my looks.
Yeah, you could.
Well,
Anyone can. I mean, that's the thing is there.
here,
I mean,
I
a
could
friend of
make money
mine.
off of these. Those would make me money, but this, no. And that's okay, but that's okay. That's what makes the world go round. I'm going to make money off of other things. I'm going to make money off of this, right?
Mhm.
That's how I make a living. So I'm okay. And I don't want to judge that, just like I didn't want to judge the women that make money because they can bake brownies in the nude. Right? I don't want to judge those people. I'm
Right.
probably not going to be that girl, although I could bake brownies in the nude, but
Or
I
you
don't,
could take pies and smash them with your feet.
yes, I could do that. Absolutely.
Or someone was telling me that's a thing like a while ago. That's the only reason I said that. And I was like, really? That's a thing.
You know what? There is a lot of feet fetishes on OnlyFans, lots of them. I have a friend, literally, she was gonna, like, this was her, I mean, it was a great idea. She didn't do it though, because she said she couldn't make enough money. And I'm like, I don't know, an extra $100 a month, I'm fine. All you got to do is it's left, socks. They're like the sock that lost its partner,
Yeah.
You just put them on your feet, and then people will pay you to take them off and send them the sock. That's a thing.
Oh my God.
I'm like, well, I'd be willing to do that. Do that. I gave her one of my socks. It's a pussy willow sock. So I thought that would be perfect. A pussy willow. It was
Oh my God, that's perfect.
cats. Yeah, little pussies. Yeah, they were cats. Anyways, the thing is me, like we've had this discussion. I want people to make good decisions because they choose to make good decisions. I'd love to get there one day. I know it's a pipe dream. I get it. I totally get it. But I think one of my things is, and then this is like trying to figure out my future, right? Which I do on an ongoing basis, even though I'm over 50. Now I'm just starting to figure out what my future is, right? I suddenly get it now.
Never too late.
Yep.
Never, ever, ever.
Never.
Late.
I look like I got another 40 years in me. That's how I look, but I really only have 20. So in those next 20 years, I'm going to do what I want to do. I want to accomplish great things. But I think that is the key, is learning from other generations. And I could throw in the towel on a daily basis, right? It would be easy for me to just say, forget it. When I was young, I wanted to be one of two things: a hermit or a stripper. Those were my two options. I was going to be either a hermit or a stripper.
Hold on. What about being the wife of a pastor, rock and roll pastor?
I know, right? Well, that was obviously the trajectory I was on, and that didn't work out so well for me. So, but I learned a lot, and I appreciate that time. But yeah, I'm like, either I'm going to hang out with lots of people, or I'm going to hang out all by myself, right? And just avoid every living, breathing person. It's always the extremes with me. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's like everything that I do now, I process it. Like, I look at those selfie stick girls. I don't see a lot of boys doing the selfie stick thing. They want to do the this is a stunt that you should never do. I'm going to leap off the top of this building.
I see a lot of the men filming, like you can tell it's like their girlfriend
Yeah.
or another, like I feel like they're behind the scenes.
The woman is making the money, and which is so funny because that's how it always is. And they're still making, it's the only area where you get to make more than a guy, right? Is
that's not true.
Taking your clothes off.
No, absolutely not. Most of the women I know make more and are the breadwinners in their households, and none of them are taking their clothes off.
No, I agree with you. No, what I'm saying is that their counterparts at work, if they're men, are making more money than those women. Because women don't make the same money as men in business, even though we should.
But that's my point, is I know a ton of women in business that make substantially more than their husbands.
Yes, but if their husbands were doing the exact same job that they were doing,
there's a possibility. Yeah, there is a very strong possibility.
Because those women that are the breadwinners in their household, and like I was the breadwinner in my household, right? Because my ex-husband, once he decided he didn't want to be a pastor anymore, worked at a photo booth. So, sure, he's got a master's degree that, we paid for together. And, but yeah, he's working in a photo booth. But I'm telling you, the men that work for the same company I do probably make more money than I do,
right,
even though, yeah. And that drives me crazy. But that's another bridge. But I'm just saying, what I don't want to do, and I try not to get disillusioned, is I wake up every morning going, I could be screaming at the windmill, right? Shouting at a windmill, but I'm still going to shout. Because what if that one person hears me? What if?
Yeah.
And maybe that one person might be a 25-year-old. Who knows?
You can only hope.
I can't even imagine, but sure, I'm kidding. I don't know why I pick on 25-year-olds. I have no business
Fun.
picking on 25-year-olds.
You know what's amazing is I remember being 25. And now I look back, I'm like, what a fucking asshole I was. I remember I was talking to this woman I worked with. I was still in radio at the time. And there was this woman I worked with and I loved her. She was so lovely. We have not stayed in touch, but I was 25. I was going to school full time. I was working full time. I just bought my house, like that little townhouse I had in Phoenix.
Yeah.
But I remember talking to her and being like, I felt like I was having a midlife crisis. I genuinely felt, and she was like, you're 25. Like, I'm sure
Slow your roll.
I'm sure she wanted to slap the fuck out of me. And I look back, I'm like, yeah, shut the fuck up. Like you were 25. Yes, you were going. I mean, I think it was just, I was exhausted. I think
Yes.
that's more of it is I was just fucking exhausted. And I had just got done buying this house, which was an exhausting experience and just trying to hold it all together. And I was falling apart a little bit. But to really look back, it's like, yeah, you were still only 25. Like, shut up.
But you know why? But your concern was valid. You were tired. You were exhausted. You were doing a lot, right? I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't valid per se, right?
But 25-year-olds don't know shit. I mean,
Right.
they just don't. It's just hilarious because
That's
when you're in it, you think you do. It's
Yeah.
like, but even at 35, I mean, now in my 40s, I feel like I know a lot more. But I'm sure an 80-year-old's like, shut the fuck.
Well, you know what though? That's funny because you do hit that age where you're like, I literally said to someone just Friday, I said, when I was 25, I knew everything. Now that I'm over 55, I'm so aware of how much I don't know.
No.
Like, I love being in this place, right? I wish we could be in this place at 25. I wish at
It doesn't
25
work that way. It doesn't
we
work
could
that
say,
way.
but wouldn't it be great?
Oh,
Because
I know.
how much further ahead, I keep thinking, how much further ahead would I be right now if when I was younger, I took a minute to go, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Who can I learn from? Like, who can I watch? So, you know, I got a new job, and I got this new job because I'm pretty good at what I do, right? But I love the idea that if I just take a moment, listen to what people are saying to me, read that article, talk to that person, I'm going to get even better at what I do. And that's
Yeah,
exciting to me. Yeah.
you know what's so fucking weird, and I agree with you 100%, but I just feel like that's part of becoming more enlightened, right? And more, I think as you do age, that's where, yeah, I don't know, but I agree with you. But I had this weird thought, like literally 2 days ago. I was like, it was when I was actually talking to my mom and asking her about the baby picture. And I don't have no idea why quickly I did the math in my head. And I was like, holy shit, the age I am right now, when my mom was my age, I was graduating high school.
Wow.
Which is just a weird, I'm like, I can't even imagine being raised a child getting ready to go to college at the age that I'm not, even to this day, I'm like, I don't know that I would be a good mother or like be a mother period. Like, I just mean in terms of, I mean, I don't think anyone's 100% ready, but I just find it ironic, like what you're kind of talking about, that I do think that and I'm sure there's that sweet spot, right? But it's like after 40 is when our eggs decline and it's much, much harder and more difficult and challenging for a number of reasons for a woman to get pregnant. Yet it's probably one of the best in terms of like, yeah, now you know that you don't know shit and more willing to ask for help. And like, there's so many wonderful things about being this age, and you're probably more mentally, spiritually, financially stable to have a kid, yet that's not how biology works.
But let me ask you this. So this you just popped into my head. Is that because that's how we keep altering our existence? So we think about, 200 years ago, 40 was old age.
Right.
So 200 years ago, were we maturing faster? So at 18, were we like we are now at 50? And
Middle age.
have we so derailed our educational process that this is where we're at now? And can we like, or is it just that's it? Like,
I mean, think about that. That's probably one reason our judicial system and our government is so fucked up, right? When our founding fathers were writing the Constitution, they didn't put in any type of limits because most people died at like 40 or 50. So, like when you were thinking about the Supreme Court, for example,
right,
they were thinking about these motherfuckers like Rehnquist was there to like, he was in his 90s and could barely walk, they weren't really thinking, or that, I mean, and there wasn't even diseases yet, kind of to
right,
your point. Like there was no Alzheimer's because no one was living long enough to actually have their brain deteriorate.
right. And now look at us. So I'm wondering, and this is why, again, so I look at the previous generations and then the ones that are coming after us, and I'm
Mhm.
like, my parents told me, wait till you get to be my age, right? And then now I'm there and I'm like, oh yeah, I get it, they were right. I mean, no longer, I'm not arguing with it anymore. I totally get it. And
Yeah.
that's why I joke around a lot about 25-year-olds, because when I was 25, I knew everything. And my dad couldn't tell me anything, even though I loved my dad and he was awesome. But still, now I'm like, oh yeah, here we are replaying the same thing again. And is it written in the stars that this is how it's going to be, or can we fix it? Like, can we say, hey, and then that's when I get up every morning and I say, well, I'm gonna still do this thing we do right here today, and I'm still gonna go to my job and try and raise money to help that segment of the population, even though, based on things unfolding as they were meant to, it's a stupid thing to do.
Why
Because
is
it's
that?
pointless. Because
Why?
maybe it's pointless. Maybe based on the trajectory, right? Based on the fact that even in the mornings when I'm watching the news, what do you think on occasion my world famous newscasters are covering?
Climate change.
What is changing? What is trending on TikTok?
Climate change.
No, climate change isn't trending on TikTok. It's some kid doing some new dance and that's what's trending on TikTok. And that's what we're talking about on the news. And that's when I go, should I shower talk with freedom? Because it's probably ridiculous and silly and useless, even though I love it.
I
And
love
I
it.
can't blame the generation. I
No,
can't.
of course
You
not.
can't, right?
No.
Can we blame the parents?
No, I
Okay.
think, in my opinion, absolutely not. I mean, I shouldn't say it was, I'm sure, yes, in some cases. But look, parents, and I mean, clearly you and I are not parents, but I
Right.
have a lot of empathy for parents in the sense of
Yeah.
you don't get a handbook with each child. It's
No.
like, here's how you raise this one, right? You're only going to be basing how they raise their children off of maybe what they're exposed to or what they read or what they learn.
Mhm.
So I think most parents, and clearly not all, there's some shitty ones out there, but I really believe the majority of parents all over the world, not just in the US, are literally doing the best they can with what they have, resources available. But again, yeah, are there shitty people? Of course, but it's also just our social construct,
Mhm.
right? And I think people love to blame people or blame instead of taking accountability for themselves and taking accountability for their own actions, where it's so much easier to go, oh, well, the baby boomers didn't give a shit about the climate, but they were also working on social injustice happening. You still had Martin Luther King was still alive then. You still had Jim Crow laws. You still had the Klan was marching all over. They were
Right.
dealing with a lot. How much are you supposed to put on them? Gen X, I mean, if anything, we were kind of the shittiest generation. We were just like, you know, make as much money as possible and have fun. And
We were, products of the 80s, really.
and our
That's when I
parents
was,
and our parents were boomers, so they
yeah.
were probably a little bit more open-minded, a little bit, not everyone's clearly, but there was a certain level of like being, and more people were going to college at that point. You had, I don't know, but I think as a societal construct, we are built to kind of blame, right? And you have, I mean, think about all the lawyers we have in the United States.
Oy.
It's constantly, some people are just looking to sue people or
Yes.
like find a reason to try to get rich or like.
There is a billboard on the way into the Las Vegas airport that, most people fly in and out of. The billboard is, did you get injured at the hotel? Call this lawyer.
That's disgusting.
Yep, sure is. But happens a lot.
It's disgusting.
Welcome to Las Vegas.